Hello, this video is a video about Nintendo's power, or why no third parties will ever let Nintendo come back to prominence via like the way it was during the SNES and NES days. Okay? And why this is not actually a bad thing for Nintendo. After the cut, we'll get started. Okay then, let's get it started. There are three things you have to realize when it comes to third parties or Nintendo's power. Why third parties just refuse to let Nintendo have what it had back in the SNES, NES days, and why when I hear people say, "Oh, I wish it was back," it's never going to happen. And here's why. First of all, you have to realize a little economic concept called ceteris paribus, which basically translates to all things being equal. It's a Latin word, okay? Ceteris, all things, paribus, equalized, okay? So ceteris paribus, then you have to realize another thing, that things are different back in the day versus how they are now. And then finally, what it would really mean if Nintendo had that type of power yet again. And let's get it started after the cut. Ceteris paribus, as I just said, means all things being equal. Now, what this means is if you average everything out or make everything level, a level playing field, okay? Like ceteris paribus, generally speaking, men are physically stronger than women. Just, it's fact. It's okay. Okay? But, I mean, if you take away all the other stuff, it's just the way it is, physically speaking. And they're, just ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus, if all things... So, we're going to use ceteris paribus, okay? With Nintendo, okay? If all things were equal, if Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo got equal third-party support without the money having, no one would want to buy a Microsoft or a Sony console unless they were like ultra hardcore. Because, I mean, let's think about it. Why would anyone want a Sony? Sony's first-party IPs, despite how much Sony fanboys love them, don't sell that well. So it's not like Sony's making a huge amount of money off of them. So, like, people are like, well, I can get the same game on something that has dynamite first-party IPs and third-party IPs. So why the hell would I need that expensive piece of shit? Same thing with the Xbox One. So, I mean, Microsoft could put their exclusives on PC like they used to do back in the day with Halo and Halo 2 and stuff. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Or not. But so basically, I mean, there would be no reason. What IPs? I mean, the reason people should really buy a console is for the IPs. That's how it was back in the day. And that segues to our next topic, back in the day versus now. Okay, now we're on to back in the day versus now. Back in the day, Sega and Nintendo got equal treatment from third parties, generally speaking. Yeah, there was certain differences, like Aladdin on the Sega had Aladdin with a sword, and the one on the NES didn't have a sword, but generally speaking, the games were so similar. Nintendo had Mortal Kombat, the dudes did blood. Sega had Mortal Kombat, the dudes didn't have, on Sega had blood, the dudes on SNES didn't. But generally speaking, they were pretty much the same. But that's how it was back in the day. third parties gave equal treatment. So it came down to what consoles had the best first-party IPs. Okay? And I hate to say it, Sonic will never be in the same class as Mario. I know Sega fans are going to be like, no! You know it to be true. Search your feet. I'm going to be like Darth Vader. Search your feet. You know it to be true. No! I know you Sega fans are mad about that, but hey. Look, I ain't lying. Okay? So, you know, that was what we expected back in the day. Generally speaking, third parties would be the same across all consoles. Of course, you know, you only had one console. I really didn't become a multi-console owner until I was like 16, 17 years old. I had a summer job and I got a PS2 when it went on sale because, no fucking way. Yeah, PS2 when it went on sale. No, I got a PS1 and then later on I got a PS2. I mean, you know, that's just, no one's spending that type of money, okay? But, you know, that's just how it was. Like, for example, I have Gauntlet Legends on my N64, and I recently got a copy of Gauntlet Legends for like $5 off of eBay for my PS1. The PS1 version looks like a piece of shit. But it's got FMVs! And the N64 version looks great. Doesn't have FMVs though, so you know, I'm so cosmopolitan. I need movies in my video games. But that's a point for another day. But now, you know, people have different expectations in their games. They want a lot of stupid shit. They really want multiplats. And I'm like, why would you want something that you can get anyplace else? That generally speaking, that makes no sense to me. I mean, for me, it's all about the first-party IPs. If the first-party IPs are good, then I got something I can always play. But if the multiplats are, I can wait for multiplats to go on sale nowadays. The best example that I can find of this is Sony versus Sega. Sony versus Microsoft. Right now, Sony's first-party IPs are doing a little bit better than Microsoft's because, you know, Microsoft hasn't had a Halo come out in a long time, and Connect Sports just ain't pulling them in like they used to. You know what I'm saying? So really, they're floating on third parties. The highest selling games for both of these consoles are third party games. Call of Duty Ghosts, which means that the only people who are really making money on this console are third parties right now. Which, if you're a console maker, is fucking asinine. I'm sorry, it's just stupid. It's dumb as shit. But that's just the way it is. Which brings me to what it would mean if, let's just, you know, think in the future. What it would mean if Sony and Microsoft were, if Nintendo got that third-party support. What it would truly mean. Okay then, let's imagine, a world now where all three consoles get the same third-party support. Why would you buy a Sony console? Nathan Drake? Uncharted with mushroom zombies? Maybe, hey, you want to play Quick Time Event, the movie starring Ellen Page, directed by pretentious-ass director David Cage? Brought to you by frustrated video game developer who really wants to be a movie director and has a creepy obsession with Ellen Page, David Cage, Quantic Dreams. Let's see, that's Sony. Because, look, it's not for third-party multiplats because the shit's coming everywhere. Xbox would be dead because I'm gonna let you in a little secret. Halo used to come to PCs. Halo 1 and 2 came to PCs. If I remember correctly. Yeah, Halo 1 and 2 came to PCs. So why in the fuck would anyone, I mean, if the Xbox couldn't sell because the multiplats wouldn't be there, so who the fuck would buy an Xbox? You know, Rare probably would have never been bought by Microsoft, so we would still have excellent Rare games for Nintendo. So why in the hell would anyone buy anything but Nintendo products? That's just a supposition, but I mean, you know, I could have a console that has great first-party IPs versus two that have moderate to shitty. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer, really. But it boils down to, at that point, Nintendo would suffer too because third parties are parasites. It would seem to be you would think it would be a symbiotic relationship, which it was back in the day. The consoles were the market. Third parties were like the generic brands, you know. A few would have like name brands, but generally they were generic brands. It's like, oh, you can play this platformer. I got Mario. I don't, you know. And I still have that attitude, you know, like, you know, I know a lot of people like, Rayman Legends went multi-plat, and I still haven't bought it, because you want to know why? Because I got Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze shits all over Rayman Legends, so why would I pay money to a company that has basically insulted me as a customer? I mean, who does that, you know, unless you're stupid or a faux gamer. So, you know, which segues to my conclusion. Okay then, here we go. The conclusion. Third parties have basically, Microsoft and Sony have made a devil's deal with the third parties, okay? And like devil's deals in most works of fiction, the deal, you're always getting the short end of the stick, and they have, okay? Okay, Microsoft has paid EA for a third-party exclusive, Titanfall, right? They paid for it to be developed, they paid for everything for it to get off the ground. And they're not going to see any real boost from it, because you know what? Most people who are going to buy Titanfall are going to wait for it to drop for the for the 360. But here's the kicker. EA has developed an engine, assets, and everything else in order to make the sequel and put it on PS4 and Xbox One and PC and PS3 and Xbox 360 next year with no skin off their nose, and Microsoft paid for it. The only people who are going to be getting money hand over fist with no risk to them at all is EA, and Microsoft paid them for it. It's like paying someone to kick you in the balls. This is why Microsoft loses money every year. This is why the Xbox division loses money, because of stupid shit like this. Dumbasses. So basically, they made a devil's deal, and now they're paying the consequences for it, which leads me to why it's actually a very good thing that Nintendo doesn't really rely heavily on third parties. Now, I don't mean like doesn't like money hat unless it's an exclusive or anything like that. Because basically, it means Nintendo, what sells on their consoles is their first-party games, which means their money that they spend out is coming back to them. They're getting their investment plus a profit, which means they're making more money than Sony and Microsoft in their gaming division. And since Nintendo only does games, I mean, they're making more money off of their shit. Okay? That's just how it is. And that's pretty damn smart. And that's why it's a good thing that Nintendo doesn't really have this huge third-party support, because the third parties that exist now, in general, not all of them, occasionally you have old school third parties that are like they were back in the day. Like recently I saw an interview from Tim Schafer. He was talking about like some of the games that his Double Fine is making, and like he was doing an interview with Polygon, and the guy tried to trap him. He's like, which console do you like the most, PS4, Xbox One? Tim Schafer's like, dude, our engine that we use is on everything. I want my game on everything because that means more people are exposed to our work and we can make more money. And the dude's like, oh, he's like, I don't have a favorite. I like all of them. It's like asking me who's my favorite kid. Old school third-party people wanted their shit on everything. And I have to say, Double Fine has put their game on everything. Psychonauts was on everything. Brutal Legend was on everything except the Wii because it couldn't be on the Wii, I guess, apparently. But I mean, all the other shit they've made has, unless it had exclusivity tied to it, has been on everything. So that's just how it is. I'm looking forward to Costume Quest 2, bitches. That's the end of this video. Have a nice day. Remember, rate, comment, subscribe. Leave any comments in the comment section. Trolls will be banned.